Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where we discuss all things TV. I'm your host, Stevie Tantrum. Today we are looking at the second installment of the Arkham franchise, Batman Arkham City. Now, unlike my previous video, we'll be looking at different things today. The first game was more of an opener to something bigger, and we needed to discuss the doors it opened and why it was so unique. Now with Arkham City, we'll be looking at the same things, but with more depth because the game added just that. With the sleeper hit that was Batman Arkham Asylum, it's safe to say everyone's boners were up and wanting more. You see, Rocksteady decided to be smart and continue the storyline that begins with Arkham Asylum, but add more to it, with the combat system that made the bigger strides and more movesets, and made the fighting a lot more visually appealing, and they also added Catwoman's story missions that actually had a huge impact on the story, and was able to provide really fun gameplay. Her moveset was different from Batman's, being faster but slightly weaker, and in Predator missions she had access to the grates on the ceilings, which is something exclusive to her through the entire franchise, adding more uniqueness to her character. Also, with the combat Predator missions for Batman also seemed to be more refined, with the double takedowns and new gadgets available. And speaking of gadgets, Catwoman also had access to a multitude of unique gadgets such as the bolas, caltrops, whip, and detective mode. Catwoman also had access to amazing genetics in order to form those hulking gazangas.
Anyone ever tell you that you're full of surprises?
Batman's suit also looked really good and was again just refined, and more depth was put into his character design. This also goes for a lot of characters in the game. My personal favorite was Mr. Freeze's suit, which looked like a massive body armor tank being controlled by a crazy snow cone. And even Two-Face's left side, whatever his character design was done really well, and it's one of my favorite Two-Face depictions. And along with these really good designs, we also have the character development for a lot of these characters, and the biggest one is Hugo Strange. Hugo Strange is the main villain in this crazy ride. When he reveals to Bruce Wayne that he knows who he really is, Batman, Hugo Strange then throws Bruce Wayne into Arkham City with the other criminals. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that due to Joker's crazy island, they have to send all the criminals somewhere, so Hugo Strange orchestrates it so that all the criminals wind up in this portion of Gotham that has been closed off to the public, and will just use this to house all of them with his own security and make sure things go okay. Obviously, Batman escapes and dons the cowl once again to find out something Hugo Strange had told him when he was being held, which is Order 66. Oh wait, no, I mean Protocol 10. Man, that would have been really funny if it was though. But through a lot of back and forth through the entire map, you'll eventually run into assassins that work for the League who serve under Ra's al Ghul. Ra's wants Batman to take his place, but will only hand the League over to Batman if Batman kills him. And there's a better chance Amy Schumer will tell a funny joke than that ever happening. After defeating Ra's, your story will take you to the top of Wonder Tower, which has been nothing but a nuisance trying to get around this horseshoe map, and once at the top, you'll finally confront Hugo Strange. The Predator mission is one of the most difficult ones to do, because there are no gargoyles inside the actual top, only on the outside, so you are left with sneaking around and using vents, and also avoiding the mines. Yeah, good luck with this one. However, once you are able to get through the room, you can then confront the man himself, Hugo Strange, who is actually happy, as you would have learned by now, is that Protocol 10 is basically killing all the criminals, which we know Batman will not stand for. He then beats the living daylights out of him, and we are given one last plot twist. Ra's al Ghul is Hugo Strange's master, and has been the true evil mastermind behind the entire plot. Then Hugo Strange activates his trap card and unleashes Blue Eyes White Dragon by doing a suicide bomb on the top of Wonder Tower, and causes Batman to leap out the window, spiraling down with Ra's al Ghul. And now would be a good time to talk about the story a bit. I did not talk about the story in Arkham, and I didn't mention Joker's story. His story will be saved for my last video on the entire franchise, but I will discuss the boss fights. All fights have a uniqueness to them, good and bad. They are at least different from each other, from the most boring fight with Deadshot to the best fight in the entire Arkham series, the Mr. Freeze fight. And yeah, while this fight has been talked about, I still want my turn. The Mr. Freeze fight puts all of your skills to the test. Whatever way you take down Freeze, he'll adapt to and won't allow you to take him down the same way again. This fight will force you to use your knowledge of all of your gadgets and techniques you've learned. You'll even have access to other boss fights that aren't really boss fights, like Victor Zsasz. Victor Zsasz will give you all these phone calls, and while being annoying to track down and get to, they are really rewarding. Victor will call you and give you the creepiest origin story you've ever heard. And while not being the best in the game or best in the franchise, the Clayface boss fight at the end of the game is remarkable. Seeing Batman wield a sword and just go crazy was one of the best times I've ever had. They literally had to create an entire new set of animations just for this one boss fight, which is awesome when you think about it. And then we have other fights like the Bane boss fight, where we actually get to team up with Nacho Libre himself to release a beating that would put even Chris Brown to shame. A few complaints of this game are that Hugo Strange reveals to Batman that he knows his identity, but does nothing with it. This instead and just throws Bruce into Arkham City. People have complained why Hugo does this, and I have an explanation. Actually, it's really obvious. At the end of the game, when Batman is on top of Wonder Tower and Ra's has been stabbed by Hugo, he lies there bleeding to death while Batman holds him, and then he activates Protocol 11, and the password is Bruce. Why would Hugo have this protocol, and why would he have Bruce be the password? Well, it is because Hugo Strange is playing all sides. He is no moron, and he knows the dark side of Ra's al Ghul. And Ra's never wanted Batman in Arkham City, it was Hugo. Hugo Strange put Batman in Arkham City and told him of Protocol 10 as a failsafe. Basically, should Ra's al Ghul betray Hugo Strange, there is a chance that Batman will come to his aid or at least stop Ra's. And should Ra's not betray Hugo, then Hugo would simply be saved by Ra's. There is a reason the whole night Hugo Strange has been sitting up in his tower, because he is prepared for Ra's and Batman. Now yes, the combat, while having more depth, still needs work. When you are attacking someone, you cannot cancel your attack, meaning if you go to hit someone and someone else tries to hit you, there's nothing you can do to stop your attack and counter. And while the story is good, it's not great. It was a big chase for the cure and going over one obstacle over another until the game ends, and while most of the side quests were good, there were a handful that were just bad. The saving political prisoners side quest was generic and boring, and the Hush side quest was interesting, but left on a cliffhanger that needed more answers. And the Deadshot fight was horrible, along with the build up to it. And that is where myself and a lot of other players find themselves in. The game has highs and lows, and those highs go really high, but those lows go really low. Overall, the game was something to remember and definitely a replayable game. And of course, thank you for watching the video, and join me next time when we discuss Batman Arkham Origins.